The E63 and the BMW M5 have always been the ultimate performance sedans. Now, with the Audi RS6 not available in the United States and the RS7 yet to be refreshed, these two behind me are the ultimate super saloons from Germany in current day. Both of them have V8s, both of them are forced induction, and both are absolute drift machines. How does the E63 compare to the new BMW M5? That's what we're here to find out. The biggest innovation in these new luxury sedans is their all-wheel drive system. That's right, the kings of rear-wheel drive, whether it's Mercedes with smoky burnouts or the ultimate drift machine with BMW, are now all-wheel drive. But the trick is, both of these cars can actually deactivate the frontal portion of the drivetrain for a pure 600 plus horsepower rear-wheel drive experience. That means you get the added benefits of an aggressive all-wheel drive launch. The 0 to 60 times in both these cars are under 3 seconds. That's supercar, hypercar levels of acceleration, and then at the same time you can go into full rear-wheel drive. This car set the record for the world's longest drift, and the Mercedes can do insane rolling burnouts. And I love that about these cars, because at the end of the day, you're spending 6 figures on a vehicle that to the normal human being just goes from point A to point B. But the enthusiasts who buy the AMGs and the M cars know that it is all about the experience, the exhilaration, and most importantly, the fun. And that's what Mercedes and BMW have created with these two beasts. From the outside, both of the vehicles are both stunning and aggressive. Now, I will admit, to some, the bulbous, gigantic front end with the grills on the E63 may not be for some. In general, the BMW M5 is actually the better looking car from every angle. Whether it's the front or the beautiful side intakes that are actually functional on the M5, to the aggressive racing style rear diffuser, the wheel options on the M5, and just the proportions of it. One thing I will say, the E63 has a host of carbon fiber options for the exterior of the car. Sure, with BMW Individual, you can do almost whatever you want, but if you're a normal guy who walks into a BMW dealership or goes online on the configurator, you might not know about those options. Whereas the E63, we've got carbon fiber components in the lower front splitter. We've got carbon fiber on the mirror caps. We've got carbon fiber on the side vents, the rear diffuser, the rear deck lid. Well, the M5 is the more attractive car. This right here actually bugs me. All of the cameras and sensors for the driving assist package on the BMW M5 are very visible right here. Now, Mercedes did something very cool with the E63. I know some of you have probably seen the illuminated star, and I actually kind of wanted to get the glowing star on the front of the car. But if you get the Distronic Plus package that allows you to have that adaptive cruise control, the lane keep assist, essentially almost full autonomous driving, although you have to keep your hands on the wheel and it can't detect stop signs or stoplights, and you'll probably kill someone if you fall asleep behind the wheel, but it is quite nice. They've integrated all of that into small wires and a camera right here, and it's seamlessly integrated into the front of the car, whereas this looks like a giant round hole. Under the muscular hood of the E63 is a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8. Now, this car is tuned. Because of that, we've actually brought an E63 wagon along to test the difference between the two cars, stock versus stock. If this car had come straight from the AMG factory, it would have had 603 horsepower and 627 pound-feet of torque. That's right, that's more than 70 pound-feet of torque above that on the M5. But with a curb weight of 4,500 pounds, this is actually 299 pounds heavier than the M5 as well. But despite that, they both do the quarter mile in 11.1 seconds. The E63 traps at 126 miles an hour, whereas the M5 traps at 124. So from a roll, in theory, the Mercedes is going to win. Under the hood of the new M5, dubbed the F90, is a slight variation of the motor that was in the F10, a 4.4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 with bigger turbos and more boost. That results in a healthy power increase. How much? Well, the F10 M5 made 560 horsepower and 502 pound-feet of torque. This 600 horsepower, and 553 pound-feet of torque. Now, despite the all-wheel drive system, BMW kept close attention to weight savings. In fact, the F90 M5 is actually 20 pounds lighter with the carbon fiber roof than the F10 M5. And with that 8-speed automatic transmission, that means 0 to 60 in the M5 happens in 2.8 seconds. That is insane, and happens to be the exact same 0 to 60 time of its rival, the E63. There's no denying one of the most important parts in a car such as the M5, the E63, or the RS7 is the sound. That brings me back to the E60 BMW M5, the one with the F1 derived V10 engine. Sure, it didn't have the prettiest shell, the rear end was awkward, they had a lot of electronic issues, but there's no denying that that engine was a musical instrument. The fact that they stuck a V10 in a sedan was truly a remarkable thing, and with the right exhaust, oh, it sounded so dang good. Unfortunately, we have to face reality. Cars are changing along with our climate, and that means downsized boosted engines. Almost everything nowadays is single, twin turbo, hybrid to get better fuel economy. This is no different. Both the M5 and the E63 have twin turbocharged V8s. And while a lot of companies struggle to make a twin turbocharged car sound good, AMG has always been the king of that. With the AMG GTR, with the E63, it doesn't matter. They've made it sound very, very good. Now, from the inside, the M5 is quite isolated. So is the E63. However, from revving at a standstill, it's not all that loud on the inside of the M5. However, when you mash the gas on the M5, it gets a lot louder, but not that much louder. This has the BMW performance exhaust, aftermarket, but obviously through BMW, and it actually doesn't sound that good. Sure, it's a nice, smooth, satisfying V8, but it doesn't have the snarl, the pops, the bangs, any of the excitement that the AMG has. So in that category, the Mercedes far and away wins in terms of sound quality. Another incredibly important facet of both cars is how they ride, whether that's in comfort mode on the freeway for commutes or in Sport Plus mode, cruising down the back roads at high speeds. The M5 and the E63 need to be a bit of a wolf in sheep's clothing. Now, they're very aggressive looking vehicles, so any enthusiast, you're not fooling anyone, even a pedestrian, that the M5 or the E63 is a normal Mercedes. Sure, they might not really be able to tell the difference between an M3 and an M5, but you can certainly tell the difference between a 528i and an M5. In comfort mode, this M5 truly rides like a 528 or a 7 Series. In fact, these seats, one complaint I do have about the M5 is that there's only one option for the seat, whereas in the E63, you can either get the normal seats, which come with bolsters that actually inflate in the opposite direction of the turn to keep you in place. It has massaging functionality. This, of course, has heated and cooled and massage as well as that one. But on the E63, you can opt for the performance seats, which look a lot nicer and hold you in place better. The downside is they're not all that comfortable. And even in comfort mode in the E63, it rides a lot harder than you'd expect. We've got 3 different modes in both cars for the suspension. In the M5, we've got a series of 3 taps here all next to each other. They're actually in different locations, one on the left and one on the right on the E63. I like the layout on the M5 better in this regard. We've got adjustments for the steering feel, the suspension setup, as well as the engine response. When you're in Sport Plus, it's gonna hold the revs higher, you're gonna have better throttle response, and with the active exhaust on these things, it's gonna automatically open the baffles so that it sounds good. Now, both cars do have a button, the loud button here, to turn the exhaust on and off. Let's go ahead and put this all the way back into full comfort mode. Oh my gosh, This M5 actually drives like the most relaxing BMW I've been in a very long time, save the 7 Series. This is the ultimate driving machine that also is the ultimate commuting machine. We are now in the E63, and that brings me to another important component of super sedans, and that is lap times. Now, let's be honest, the majority of buyers of an E63 or an M5 are not gonna care or take their cars to the track. Now, I've taken an E63, my personal car, to the track quite a bit and have had an absolute blast. Dynamically, it's a very fun car. The only thing it fights against is its weight. Any sedan, for that matter, isn't going to be as good on the track as a weapon as a much lighter car would be. Regardless, I highly suggest, if you do end up buying an M5 or an E63, to take either to the track. So how do these two stack up in terms of their performance around a road course? Well, it's quite interesting. As you'd expect, they are very, very similar. And in fact, there aren't many tracks in which the E63 sedan and the M5 have both run. Now, imagine that strategy on BMW and Mercedes' part, because I'd imagine, depending on the track, one track's going to favor the E63 and one track is going to favor the M5. We do have some hard data, however. On the Nürburgring, the M5 set a ridiculous lap time of 7 minutes and 39 seconds. The E63 sedan has not run the Nürburgring, only the wagon has. Now, the wagon is 150 pounds heavier. Obviously, it's got more weight, so the center of gravity is raised because of the design of the car, so dynamically, it's not as good. That ran a 745. It's likely the sedan would be much faster. That being said, we don't have the data on it, so there's no way to confirm. At Virginia International Raceway, a very important racetrack that the Ford GT currently has the record at, and the 918 just below that, this car, the E63, is actually 1.4 seconds faster around the track than the lighter, more powerful, more torquey CTS-V. That's right, 1.4 seconds quicker than a CTS-V. Now, the M5 hasn't ran around that, so we don't have the comparison, but this car is also a teeny bit quicker than the 997 generation GT3 RS around VIR. What on earth? All right, so let's be honest with ourselves. Lap times aren't going to come into play that often when driving an E63 or an M5. What is going to come into play is the interiors, because you're going to be spending 80% of your time inside of the car and only 20% of your time creepily staring at the car in your garage late at night. What is on the inside is quite important. And that is where Mercedes has absolutely knocked it out of the park, with beautiful leather seats with contrasted stitching, this brilliant carbon fiber pattern that just looks so nice in the interior, and the upgraded Burmester high-end audio system that has rotating illuminated tweeters. It's got milled aluminum speakers all over that just look like pieces of art. The dual 12.3-inch screens, everything about the design language inside of the Mercedes is stunning. It actually looks like, with the standard seats shown on the wagon, that I'm gonna do a head-to-head speed test against the E63 wagon and the M5 to find out who's faster. So if you're not subscribed, smash that subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, because we are putting these two cars head-to-head. Since the sedan is tuned, it's not fair to do that comparison. But let's go over to the M5. Everything is more focused on comfort and making it playful. While this is refined and gorgeous and almost S-Class-like, the M5 feels younger, it feels more energetic, and it's not as nice inside, but the leather is more comfortable, and the seats in the M5 make it so you could do a 5-hour commute no problem. The sports seats in the AMG, I drive 5 hours in a day, but I'm not quite as happy about it. So let's talk about price. At the end, price is extraordinarily important, if not the most important factor in a car purchase for 99.99% of people. Both of these sedans start at above $100,000, and that's crazy to think about. These sedans pushing past $100,000 in a realm that used to be only supercars, and now it's kind of the norm. So the M5 starts at $102,700 for a base price. The M5 competition package starts at a little bit above $110,000. The E63S starts at $104,400. So within spitting distance, $2,000. They cost about the same. How does that compare to some of its competition? Well, the Porsche Panamera Turbo, starts at $150,000. Option the cars all the way up, and the E63 can approach near $150,000 with the carbon ceramic brakes. The M5 has less options. In fact, there's no exterior carbon fiber options. In the US, you don't have the sports exhaust options. It really is limited in what you can do as far as the exterior. The interior get a bit more, but on the interior, carbon fiber is free on the M5, although the M5's carbon fiber is nowhere near as nice as that on the AMG. But you're charged $2,850 for the carbon on the Mercedes. The speaker system upgrade is more expensive. The seat upgrade, well, there's no seat upgrade in the M5, and the option list climbs higher and higher to where the E63 does outprice the M5. So if you're looking for a little bit more of a bargain and you do want to option your cars out all the way, the M5 is going to be the cheaper car to go with. It also starts out at a slightly cheaper price, although that $2,000 differential in the beginning should not be the deciding factor between an M5 and an E63. At the end of any head-to-head, the goal is to pick a winner. In today's day and age, when the M5 and the E63 and most supercars and luxury sedans are all so competitive, it becomes very hard to choose. I'll leave you with this. If you care about the interior, the sound, as well as straight line speed, the E63 is the way to go. If you care about the exterior appearance, a tiny bit more fun driving dynamic, perhaps a car that's a little bit easier to drift, and you can go with the M5. It is a stunning, stunning car. Either way you choose, you are going to end up with a brilliant vehicle. If I had to give the win to one versus the other, I'm going to say the E63. Something just feels a little bit more special about the AMG than the M5. But that being said, the F90 M5 is the best BMW M5 ever made since the E39. And that is a very big achievement for BMW. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. Give this a big thumbs up. Leave your comments in the comment section below what car you would rather have. I look forward to seeing you next video.